Piers Verstegen from Conservation Council WA, and this is Ben Rose from one of our member groups, Sustainable Energy Now. We've just been presenting evidence to the Senate inquiry which is looking at the closure of coal-fired power stations around Australia. They're visiting here in Western Australia, and we've been talking about the town of Collie, which needs to undergo a transition with the closure of the coal-fired power stations there and bring in the new future of renewable energy technology. We've talked to them and the senators today. There's a number of reasons why we need to close these coal-fired power stations. The first one is that we've got too much energy already on the West Australian energy grid. We've got over 1,000 megawatts of excess energy generation capacity, so we need to start taking some of those coal-fired power stations out of that mix. We also know that they're incredibly polluting, and these coal-fired power stations are not only polluting our climate, causing climate change with carbon dioxide emissions, but they're also polluting in terms of other emissions to the local community and to their local environment. We've got mercury contamination in the local river, and we've got particulate pollution which is damaging the health of the local community. So there's lots of reasons to phase out coal, but one of the other ones is that we know that Collie as a town, as a regional community, can really benefit from bringing in renewable energy and becoming a manufacturing and supply hub for renewable energy technology. And Western Australia, we've got abundant renewable energy opportunities with solar, with wind, and with other renewable energy sources. We need to be developing those and building jobs and investment and infrastructure around those. We've been part of the Renew WA coalition, which has called for a renewable energy target and a managed transition for Collie, and we put that on the record today, again calling the senators to support a renewable energy target here for Western Australia. But Ben Rose and Sustainable Energy Now have done some amazing modelling to show how we can undertake that transition, and he'll just mention briefly a little bit about that now.
We at SEN have modelled the Swiss using hourly data going back 9 years, and we know how much can be generated by wind and PV for every hour of the year, and we've costed that using the latest power purchase agreement prices that have been struck in Australia, and we can say unequivocally that it is cheaper to switch over to wind and PV to replace those old coal power stations than it is to refurbish them and keep on running them. It would cost about 1 cent kilowatt hour more to put in brand new wind and solar generation than what that is already costing us now with the old power stations. If we replace those power stations, which we have to soon because they're already over 30 years old, if they were replaced, it would cost 2 cents a kilowatt hour more for our power. So it's really a no-brainer to start and plan and start putting in this PV and wind straight away, and most of it could be done, 75% of it could be done within 5 years. We've also modelled the number of jobs there are in that, and it's in round figures some 10,000 jobs, around 1,400 more permanent jobs and 8,000 more in installation and manufacturing. Many of those jobs could be around Collie, particularly in the Kemerton industrial area. If they started a new industrial hub there like is already in Henderson, they could produce things like turbine blades and the wind towers and the frames and mounting equipment for solar farms. So it's a potential jobs revolution. It won't increase the cost of power. If anything, it'll be less than if we went on with coal. So why aren't we starting now? Why haven't the government started now? I don't know. Why haven't they even put up their hands and said they'll be for this jobs revolution? I don't know. We want to hear more from the main parties.
So there you go, pretty powerful message today for the Senate inquiry from Sustainable Energy Now, Conservation Council. We also had Dr. George Crisp from Doctors for the Environment and some local people saying we need a transition for Collie. We also had the union, the Manufacturers Workers Union, present after us and say we need a managed transition for our community so that we don't leave these communities behind as we close these coal-fired power stations. So thanks for tuning in. And the Senate committee is now going to look at investigating the Beelair wetlands disaster with the environmental breaches that have been occurring down at the Roe Highway. There's people here gathered to be part of that hearing and to give evidence about the environmental disaster that's unfolding in the Beelair wetlands to provide that information to the Senate. So we'll give an update after that, and thanks for tuning in.